Okay, let's go. Let's roll. Let's just roll.
So,
and whatever magic happens, happens.
No, hold on.
This is the Rubber Boots Podcast, Season 8 of the podcast, brought to you by BetSafe.net.
BetSafe.net.
Thank you for joining us, we'll sure you have no regret. We can't believe we're not canceled yet. We're gonna tell some stories, we're gonna have a good time, you know for sure, we're gonna have a laugh. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. 100% free.
100%. That's it.
This is the podcast. This is the podcast.
That's it.
This is the pod.
That's it.
This is the podcast. This is the pod. What you watching? This is the podcast. This is the pod.
So, boys,
BetSafe.net.
I think we pride ourselves on this podcast as being the podcast where you're guaranteed not to learn anything, usually, right? And that you're guaranteed to feel afterwards smarter than you did coming in because you feel smarter than the 4 people you listen to, or at least 2 of us. Right, Puffy?
Yeah, right, those 2.
Wow.
You just pointed to an empty space, so.
So, but once in a while you learn things, right? Cloaca, we taught people about that.
It took 4 seasons, but yes, we learned.
And what else did we explain? We explained, I think, Bitcoin last season or a couple of seasons ago. Explained
investing
Bitcoin
in general.
Yes.
Anyway, I thought that maybe here in season 9?
8.
8.
Oh, 8.
Did you not just hear the theme that played?
I would try to. We try to maybe. So here's the bottom line. Okay, this morning I had to run out to Oakville to pick something up, and usually I listen to the podcasts a lot. And I've told you I listen to the Daily or I listen to murder podcasts. Right, listen to a lot of murder in my life. So today I was just browsing before I started the car, and I said, you know what? This podcast popped up. It was called "How to Build a Happy Life." Oh, I said, you know what? Maybe Jimmy has a pretty happy life. But maybe it can be happier.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can learn something on that podcast that I could bring to our listeners. In other words, plagiarizing.
Very good.
So I listened. I said, you know what? I'm not really into these funky self-help, whatever crap usually, but I'll listen. And it was kind of good. It was they had a guest on, a guy named Dan Harris. Dan Harris used to be a anchor on ABC News. He was the news anchor prominently at the beginning of the 2000s. He would do the news on Good Morning America. Diane Sawyer was the host, and Dan Harris was the guy who would do the news. And then one day he had a panic attack live on the air. Stoff, you could probably find it on YouTube, Dan Harris, and stick it in right here.
Good morning, Charlie and Diane. Thank you. This is me 10 years ago. And the reason this is the most embarrassing day of my life is that I am about to freak out on national television. Health news now. One of the world's most commonly prescribed medications may be providing a big bonus. Researchers report people who take cholesterol-lowering drugs called statins for at least 5 years may also lower their risk for cancer. But it's too early to prescribe statins slowly for cancer production. At this point, I realize I'm helpless, so I bail right in the middle. That does it for news. We're going to go back now to Robin and Charlie.
All right. Thanks very much. Dan Harris at the news desk with some of the headlines of the morning.
Now, it wasn't that crazy. He basically, you could tell he was losing it during, as you heard right there. But anyway, he's reading a news story on camera, and he just, and then he just, instead of trying to keep going, he just bails. He says, that's the news, and throws it back to Charlie and Diane or whatever. But this ended up being the end of his career at ABC. He ended up resigning, and he ended up writing a book about.
Sounds like and ABC was very supportive of this man.
I feel like it was
bad broadcast when he had.
We weren't so good back then in the early 2000s. With the whole mental health thing, I don't think.
Yeah.
But he ends up writing a book called like 10% Happier or something like that. But it was very good because he wasn't one of those hokey guru guys who comes on. He kind of talks like the four of us talk, but says, here's what you should do. And
he's dumb.
And yeah, he's kind of a dumb guy.
No wonder they fired him.
But he was talking about, he did talk about meditation. And now, a lot of people's eyes roll meditation, but he doesn't really talk about meditation being, like, the stuff Brooksy does with your yoga gurus, but just more about taking a few minutes every day to, just sit and shut your eyes and breathe, focus on your breath. And when you let other thoughts come in, which is what happens with me, I start to think about everything. That's okay. You can do that. I always feel like I'm a failure at meditating, so I stop after like 30 seconds. But he says that's okay. You just reset. Okay, there's other thoughts. You try to focus on your breath again, and slowly you get better and better, like practicing anything else, right? So I thought maybe we could do that right now.
Okay.
We'll all shut our eyes, focus on. As soon as another thought creeps into your head, you got to reset. All right. He said it's good to keep your spine straight and your chin tilted down. And just breathe in and out. Focus on your breath. Don't listen to Jimmy. I'm not even going to talk anymore for a second. This is going to be great podcasting. See, I thought about Puffy gambling for a second, so I'm going to restart.
I can't think.
Yeah, okay. I just thought of Chewy Louie changing to a different podcast.
All right. Okay, we won't do it anymore.
That didn't go well.
What I'm saying is maybe we should all try that afterwards. And I even wrote down something he said. He said, he was quoting, I think, some Buddha guy. But he was talking about that he used to lose his temper all the time. And he was kind of giving it to all the anchors. He said everybody at ABC, they called them monster anchors back then. And that they'd all like lose, throw their pens across the room and the whole thing, the old traditional anchors getting mad. And he was one of those guys. And so anger management is a big part of this, right? And if you feel yourself getting angry, Puffy, when like the spread is not being covered late, when the spread should be being covered, you just take a second and you go back to that place and you just breathe deeply and you're going to be better. And with anger, he said, it was a good line. He said, anger is honey tipped, but rooted in poison.
Oh,
meaning you get satisfaction from an angry outburst, instant satisfaction for those few seconds, but really you've caused damage no matter what. Tanya's mad at you for 3 days. She's not talking to you. Lester's banned. Elton Ron's going to kick him out of the band because Lester had his temper tantrum. I don't know. I can't even imagine Stoff angry, so I don't know what Nicole would do. But so there you go. Now I've taught you a little lesson today. We're all going to try to take a little meditation into our practice. All right, here on the Rubber Boots Pod, and we want everybody to try it at home. See, we learned something today. Let's end that crap.
When I hear you talk about this stuff, James, I think about Bruce Boudreau, and I believe it was our broadcast a couple of years ago, and he does this thing when he gets negative thoughts in his head. He taps himself on the forehead to remind himself to take those negative thoughts out, which I think is highly effective. Yes. Now, of course, he curses like a sailor, and he's known for it. But at the same time, doing a very good job so far with the Canucks. So, anyway,
also he told me that's a really good point, and everybody's got to have a little trigger like that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you see me tonight on air when O-Dog's talking too long, I just start beating myself in the head. But he did say something hokey, like when you're in traffic and the guy cuts you off, that you're supposed to like think about. I don't know how you do this when you're just giving them the finger, but you're supposed to say, think about that person's life and that they might be having a bad day, or maybe they're rushing to the hospital with their kid, and so you're supposed to say something like, I wish you well, or happiness, or something like that, instead of giving them the finger.
I wish you death.
I wish the purge was real.
I thought you were going to say you can block him in traffic and really screw him over.
Welcome to the Rubber Boots Podcast, here brought to you by betsafe.net. There's Lester, there's Stoff, there's Puffy. We're here on, it's middle of January. The world is still completely screwed, but we're here to bring you podcasting because that's what we love to do. Lester, if you're watching on YouTube, it's got a different background this week. He's got like a bar and there's all sorts of cool things. In my mind, I feel like Lester just played at a nightclub and then the night got out of hand.
Yep.
And there were groupies, and now it's like the middle of the day the next day, and he's just gotten up and just leaving the nightclub, and he remembered you have to do the podcast. Don't you feel, Puffy? That's what it looks like in the back?
Yes.
They're still trying to get the body into one of those big music casings.
Yeah, coming with you this afternoon or today from my parents' basement. So this is my dad's bar here, and yeah,
nice bar. So Lester is finally we have the literal podcaster from his parents' basement.
Yes,
we finally made it.
we finally done it.
Reverse engineered.
What did I want to get to today before we get to Stoff's fine missive, which has a lot of stuff in it? I guess we should probably address the person behind Stoff, if you're watching on YouTube, of Bob Saget, which was another sad, untimely death. I'm going to give you my quick 2 cents on Saget. He used to really bug me because my only, Full House was not a very funny show. Let's face it. The writing, it was just a terrible sitcom that was incredibly popular, and his jokes.
You are going to catch so much heat for that.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's just the way I feel. That's the way I feel. And then
it's a family show more than a sitcom. Yeah, I would say.
Right.
And I think that's the past you kind of.
You have to figure. I was probably in my 20s or something during or in my teens, so it just wasn't something that I wasn't watch.
Directed at you, buddy.
Exactly. And then Saget did America's Funniest Videos, and the writing for that I thought was terrible when he was the host. It was not good. The videos were great. So I thought this guy was
down this man's life work.
I know. Wait. I thought he was the worst comedian on TV. And then, because, back then you think that he writes the own jokes. He isn't just taking the big paycheck and some idiots are writing his jokes for him. But then Entourage changed everything. Saget on Entourage was unbelievable. Played this complete alternate universe version of himself. The cocaine fueled.
I don't know if it was.
Hold on, Jimmy. Different version of Danny Tanner.
Universe of Danny Tanner. That's what I meant to say. And the America's Funniest Videos guy. So maybe the real Bob Saget was close, but it was an exaggeration.
Yes, for sure. An exaggeration.
Because he also was kind of an asshole. And everybody, if you listen to much. As often happens when a person passes away. A lot of people saying Saget was a really generous, wonderful guy as a comedian. So a hard ass, but anyway, that was my take on Saget. You feel free to weigh in.
I love them. My kids loved the Fuller House, and he wasn't that big on a role on that. It was more about the kids, but I think he seemed like a terrific guy. But a little bit surprised that he got the breaking news treatment. ABC broke into their regular coverage and announced his death, and I was like, Dave Coulier would not have got that kind of treatment. He would not have got the breaking news.
So hold I was on. A little surprised. In Turks and Caicos, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings to a good question, Puffy. Obviously not in America, but on Canadian news.
Yes.
So CTV, Newsnet, CBC News Channel. Do I get the breaking news if I go?
I think you definitely get it on TSN. We would break into
CTV. They're in the same building as us.
I don't know.
Depends who's with you.
Yeah, Lisa LaFleur might get you in the last block.
The last block.
You're saying so? I don't get.
And she'll just tell stories about herself
in the middle of the day, like at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. No. I don't get a breaking news on CTV Newsnet.
I don't think so. No.
What if it happens in dramatic fashion, like a blimp accident?
If you are murdered in the building, there will be a breaking news.
Okay.
Wow. You will get in.
So it has to be, I have to go in a dramatic way.
Dramatic fashion.
Now, if I happen to die at some point, don't let this clip be used as, oh my goodness, Duffy talked about death, ironically, on his podcast. Okay. Don't let
moments before dying.
So right now, CTV has The Social on. So if you wait till Dr. Phil's on, maybe they'll break that.
Wow. I don't expect CTV main network. I just figure CTV Newsnet. Come on, what do they got on there right now?
Now, Jimmy, would you be I know you have no ability to do this, but you say you were in the archives at work and you noticed that we'd already built an obit for you. Would you would you be like excited about it, or would you like watch it and be like disappointed that we didn't have great clips in there or something, that like everything was just recent, that we didn't really put a lot of work
it completely mailed in. It ended up being like a 30-second voiceover.
Yeah.
It'll be worse than that is it has a date of when you died, so they're planning to kill you.
Jesus. As long as you get Smitty or Farber has to voice it, all right?
Okay, those are your two asks.
Yeah,
Okay,
no offense, but you know, you can't have one of the you can't have
it can't be one of the like the anchor that was in that day. It can't
They gotta call someone.
I love Kelsey Braid or something, but he can't do my obit.
Say we call Smitty and he's like, it's, I'm not in till Tuesday.
We'll wait.
My obit price is $12,000. Just FYI.
Man,
I wonder if people listening know that, and maybe you can let us know that that news networks do obits beforehand. I guess people would know that, right? Or
if they're fans of this podcast, we've talked about this before, having obits ready. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You know,
it's one of the more morbid things.
Yeah,
I have voiced a few in my time. It's just realistically, it's what you have to do. It's not wishing ill on someone, but if some great hockey star is reaching an age, I'm not going to say who the ones that I've voiced, but you know, if you expect he could go in a few years,
that would be a fun podcast.
I know.
Wow.
Unveiling the countdown.
Yes. Let's see. Do I have any current obits I've done where the person's still alive? And should we get them on as a guest and I read the obit?
Now you would get the hockey ones, but like, do you think you would get any other sports? Like who's getting the golf ones? Is that going to be?
Oh, you mean to voice?
Yeah. Is that
I would say Weeksy or me would do golf.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I could. I think I'd cross over. I've crossed over before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tiger Woods dying in an automobile accident has already been written.
Yeah, sure.
Getting back to Saget, though, just to close the loop on that. Listen, obviously, very sad news, very shocking. I think, and also we should certainly mention Sidney Poitier passing away last week as well at 94, an icon as well. But, to think about January already, the 2022 already, Betty White, Sidney Poitier, and Bob Saget. Of the three, the most shocking is Bob, certainly. And, I was not a big Full House fan, but I certainly know what he meant to that community. And I'll say as well, interesting, I watched the show. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling. It was a film produced by Judd Apatow after Gary passed away. It's amazing. I mean, if you got time, this thing is 4 hours.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good. But he had Bob and Gary had a very close relationship at one point, and there was a falling out, unfortunately. And as much as there was somewhat of a reconciliation, or at least a communication before Gary passed away, Bob was very sad about the fact that he and Gary had never mended fences. So I have to say, I am, kind of happy about this in the sense that I think that, at least in the way of my system of belief, they are having a conversation right now, and they're together and they're writing more jokes together. So,
couple of things. First of all, Lester, we should call you the looper, because you always close the loops on this show, because I bring up a topic and then we start talking and we go in all these different directions. You always bring it back and close the loop. So you are from henceforward the looper.
Okay.
Secondly, there is a couple things I saw on the Twitter. You might as well bring it in now. Boom.
Freaky pigs, strange chicks, world affairs, polar bears, fake news.
I don't get to say anything about Saget. The guy's in my background. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Go.
No, go on.
The looper has spoken.
The looper has spoken. What's on Twitter?
Once Lester speaks, the topic is done.
Continue, please.
Oh, go ahead, please, Stoff. Please.
I don't know. We just played the Twitter theme.
It's dangerous when you reopen the loop.
All right, it's dangerous, so I'll proceed cautiously. My only thing was this: a lot of people consider him one of the greatest TV dads of all time. So, in your opinion, who's the best TV dad?
Oh,
wow!
I have the answer, but I don't know in retrospect.
I know who you're going to say.
Exactly where you're going.
It's the right answer.
Well,
saying the same thing.
The character, not the actor, correct?
Okay,
Yes.
Would be
then we're all going to say it at the same time. Bill Cosby.
Jason Seaver. Oh no. Damn it.
Cliff Huxtable, by far.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome, TV dad.
Yeah, but it's hard to watch that show the same now.
I'm going to go with Philip Banks.
Philip Banks, great TV dad, yeah.
Hey, Looper, is the loop? Can we close the loop now?
No, we'll close it up. Close it up.
All right. Things I saw on Twitter.
Freaky pics, strange chicks, world affairs, polar bears, fake news, nice shoes, big boobs, jack dudes. All of these things and more as I sat on the shitter. Things that I saw on Twitter.
So the loop's not really closed because two things. Sidney Poitier went on 60 Minutes a few years back and told the story of that he couldn't read. And he was working at a restaurant, I believe, as a dishwasher. And an old Jewish man who worked at the restaurant found out, I will tell the quick version, found out that he couldn't read and stayed after work every night and read to him and read with him and taught him to read. Awesome. A little bit of kindness completely changes a life. Mm-hmm. Secondly, another thread I saw was about Bob Saget. And I wish I could remember the band right now, but some indie band who I guess is somewhat popular. I'd never heard of them. They were playing a gig about 10 years ago, I think it was, and they found out Bob Saget was doing comedy at like the theater down the road. So they were kind of fans. I guess they reached out through his agent and said, "You think Saget would?" Had this idea that we're gonna build, like, draw up just basically a giant poster of Bob Saget, and then he could come bursting through on the stage, come through the thing. They're just playing at a little club or something. And so the agent got back to him and said, "Yeah, Bob says go ahead and make your banner." So they imagine like basically a giant sign you make going to a stadium. They just made this really cheesy banner.
It's almost like a small version of what they do at high school football games where they run out.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So you saw this, Puffy?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
So like it said, "We want Bob on it," or just said Bob Saget.
Yeah.
So like everyone in the club thought it was just some weird gag. I don't know how they introduced it. And apparently the guitar player was getting pissed because he thought like his lead singer was just being an and he had the crowd chanting, "Bob, Bob, 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 Bob." And the guitar player was like getting pissed off, saying, "Okay, let's get on with this." And then Saget actually did show up and walks through this thing. And the crowd went ballistic. Like ballistic.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't think I ever, maybe that my first moment I realized how much people loved Bob Saget. And then Saget, he ran into the guy like 10 years later and he said, "Hey, do you remember doing this?" And Saget says, "It was the greatest thing in my life. I had the car pull up, walked in the back door of the club, walked through the sign, waved to the crowd, walked back, was back in the car in like 30 seconds. Yeah. the whole thing was done."
That's awesome.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Hey, Jimmy, can we do that with you and Elton Ron?
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Imagine there's just dead silence in the crowd. What? People. Why?
Where's Elton?
What?
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Play it.
Yeah. Boo! Just play the music.
Play my song.
You do a couple Hall and Ass tunes. It'd be the beginning of a beautiful thing.
Mark Ward comes out shirtless. It'd be amazing.
Things I saw on Twitter, Stoff. Get to it.
Alrighty. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we discussed the PM, Prime Minister of Finland, who Puffy was rather taken by. Smitten being the correct word. So I guess, are you also smitten with the PM of the United Kingdom, who invited a bunch of his employees during a COVID lockdown? He invited them to a bring your own booze party.
I like the cut of his jib. I mean, if you're not going to use your power for partying, then what is the point of being the prime minister? Rules are made for the proletariat, not for the conquerors.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty good.
Your favorite politician really has to be the former, I don't know if it's prime minister or president of Italy, the guy who had the bunga bunga parties.
Oh, he was amazing.
There's a podcast somewhere out there about the bunga bunga parties. I think it's called something bunga bunga. And that guy was a completely different level of sexual corruption like you've never seen before.
He ran Italy to his own liking.
No, that's Berlusconi you're talking about?
Yes.
He like owned one of the top soccer teams, and they'd win every year because he just would like make the rules so that they won. It was amazing.
Unbelievable.
The Italian Putin.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell a quick story. Trump. We don't like to talk about Trump too much on this pod, but I have a acquaintance that you guys would know. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't know if he told me in confidence that he played golf with Trump last week. Now,
no way.
We're not Trump fans, but so anyway, he played golf with Trump. Let's just say he's in the golf world. He's in the golf world. You guys might be able to figure it out. I texted him and I'm like, so how was your golf game with Trump? And I said, did you win? Because this guy's a good golfer. I played golf with him a few times. And he said, no, he shot 74, Trump. And he said,
legit 74?
I said, legit? Come on. Because I've heard the stories of Trump. He said, yeah. He said he made 8 putts of 15 feet or more. Trump did. Wow. So I'm like, that's bizarro worlds. Anyway, I don't like.
Guy plays every day. I mean,
I don't like complimenting Trump on this podcast, but apparently he's got a little bit of game.
Okay, so Jimmy, would you be willing to play the top 40 golf courses in the world if you had to play with Donald Trump in every single one of them and travel between in private jets?
You already asked me this question with OJ, I think already.
No, I think this came up with Trump too.
Yeah, so would you do it now, knowing that he's a legit good golfer and turning his life around?
No. Turning his life around. Is that what he's doing?
He hasn't done anything bad that I know of.
What if you golf with him and OJ tells you who really did it?
Yes.
Well, I think I already know.
We'll say it's surprising.
You don't want to hear OJ's version of it?
He's telling the truth.
Imagine if OJ's like, he goes, hey, so if I did it, here's how I would have did it. Like, OJ, we've been down there with your book. We've been down that road before.
But imagine it really was like the golf superintendent that we all believed it was at first.
Is that what it was? Is that what the first suspect?
Well, he was always on the golf course looking for the real killers, so we assumed it was a golf superintendent.
Right. Some good
Lester, one of the songs I want you to record has a verse about the OJ murder, but the problem is I wrote it like the same year as the OJ trial. So do I need to rewrite those lyrics, or would it still be interesting in a 2022 time frame?
I think listen, I think, honestly, you leave it as is. This is where you were at the time, and let the song evolve.
What's the song called? The Ballad of OJ?
Yeah.
Oh, they're
I'll chase you down like you're in a Bronco.
Buddy, I write, like very Gord Downy, obscure lyrics. So I'm not sure people would understand them anyway. They're just a reference to the OJ murder.
I put the glove on and the glove headed fair.
I'll tell you what the lyrics are. Okay, I'll tell you what the lyrics are. The song's called "So Easy," and it's just basically an old man watching TV and some of the various things he sees on TV. But I wrote it in whatever year was the OJ trial. So the chorus goes
95.
The dog's still howling down on South Bundy. His bloody chops are saying, "Come this way." So that's the only 2 lines, because they found Nicole Simpson's dog walking the streets blocks away from the murder, and I envisioned the dog having licked up some of the blood from the crime scene before it left. It was kind of a sick thing, but that
is sick.
And in my vision writing the song, somebody finds the dog and it leads them back to the murder scene. That's how they discover the murder scene. See, I was pretty heavy back then.
That was pretty heavy.
When you were writing this song, was this done with like a purpose, like that you were hoping this was going to become a thing, or was this just
yes?
Really?
Obviously, I thought Hall & Ass was going to be huge and that I would be discovered.
Did you not see the video?
That was real, baby.
Okay,
it's real entertainment.
Hypothetical. You can go back in time.
So funny.
You can go back in time and choose your path. hauling ass takes off, or you can stay the course as be a broadcaster or
that's a good one.
Professional golfer.
That's a good hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
What level of golf? Like, am I a top
you're on the
player
PGA
in the world?
You're on the PGA Tour.
You're on the tour.
But like you
the tour.
made like one President's Cup team.
Right,
What? How big's the band going to get? Give me. Is it like Elton Ron
Hold
level?
on, they're all going to be equal. All these outcomes
they're all
are
gonna
going
be
to be equal. They're equal.
You're going to be as successful as you are now as a broadcaster in the band and in the PGA.
Mm-hmm. So you'll be big in Canada.
So can, baby.
So hold on. So I'm either Corey Connors.
Yep.
The Arkells.
What about Brooke Henderson?
Or me?
No, she's too good. He's not that good.
No. You're Brooke. I would say
I'm
me. No, you're Brooke.
You're Brooke.
I'm Brooke, or I'm the Arkells.
Brooke. He would take Brooke then.
You're Brian Adams.
Oh no, Brian Adams. Well,
Celine Dion.
Look,
you have your own residency in Vegas.
Yeah, I think it's got to be like the Arkells.
Yeah,
I would aim higher than the Arkells.
I gotta
take
say,
Anne Murray, Burton Cummings, any of those. You're not Arkells.
Okay, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take Anne Murray. Much love to Anne Murray.
The Arkells here.
I think I got it. You know what? I think I'd be fooling myself if I wouldn't take the band thing, Lester. I think we all envy what you get from. I've had a wonderful career. I love it. I'd also love to be on the PGA Tour, but I think that would be stressful. You know, performing. I think that probably, if I was to be honest with myself, as I've learned to do in this new podcast, How to Build a Happy Life. That's going to be next week's installment. How to be self-aware and honest with yourself. I think I'd choose the rock star life. Wouldn't we all choose the rock star life?
I think so.
I think I would probably be a rock star.
Because there's also the element of creating something and then performing it, having the reception of it. It's more than just, you know.
I mean, if you asked every one of our listeners, would you rather be the Max from the Arkells or Jimmy? Aren't they all going to take Max?
No. I'd take Jimmy over Max. I would. Here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing.
You know, Snake Bites Pete's going to take me.
I would say this as a musician. If you're a big musician, like case in point, the Arkells. Guess what? They just did the Grey Cup. Therefore, you got your toe in the sports world. Max is there in the broadcast booth talking to Smitty and Glenn, you know, about the football game and whatnot. So, and then I would assume you have the opportunity to go anywhere you want if you're that big an artist, and you know. So, yeah,
makes sense. Can you close the loop, Lester? Because we went a little sideways here.
Well, no. We're still doing things that we saw on Twitter, so keep going, Stoff.
If you allow it.
I think that was the first one.
Damn it. All right.
Let's move on to the surging gas prices. Big problem.
Oh, God.
Stephanie Matto, a former 90 Day Fiancé star. The word star, I don't know about that. But she was on 90 Day Fiancé, and since then was making 38,000 pounds a week. So that's probably close to 50,000 Canadian dollars. And she was making this money by selling her farts in a jar.
Yeah.
So basically, people would pay for her farts in a jar. She's a somewhat attractive woman, I'd say. I mean, good looking. I'm not really sure what would make one want to smell her farts, but I guess it's an industry.
All right, if you could be me, Max from the Arkells,
or Stephanie
Corey Connors, or the woman who sells her farts.
Okay, well, before you pick the obvious last one, a little more info. So at one point, the demand was so high that she was producing up to 50 jars a week of farts. And basically, she was rushed to hospital the other day. She wasn't feeling well, and she recalled how she consumed 3 protein shakes and a huge bowl of black bean soup in one day and just was not feeling right. Now, obviously, she took these things in order to fart more, and the gas buildup ended up hurting her. My question is this. If you just mailed someone a jar of air, would they know there's not a fart inside?
No, they had to be just jars of air. She wasn't actually farting inside the jars. That's
for sure she was.
No, the story is she was rushed to hospital because she was taking too many things to give her gas.
So
purposely altered her diet.
So what you're asking a science question. You're asking if you fart in a jar and seal the jar, does the fart remain? There's no chance the fart remains through shipping and handling.
Get that man a protein shake.
No.
If you're not listening, if
beans.
you're not watching on YouTube, Stoff has a jar ready to. Are you gonna?
No, there was pens in that jar. I literally just grabbed those last second.
There's no chance. There is no chance.
You don't think she was doing this?
I believe that she. Well, I guess if she did
I
get
think the
rushed to
smart play
hospital,
is
she
empty
was
jars, but
why don't
Yes,
you just
of course.
send a jar? How is anyone going to know the difference?
Wouldn't
like
have her
this
fart
doesn't
in it.
smell bad.
Unless
enough.
you had some sort of chemical that produced some sort of farty type smell that you just put in every jar.
They
So
had
that would-
what was it? Stink
course they do.
bombs.
Stink
right?
bombs, you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think she
Stink
just does
bombs.
that? Maybe they just put some little
Well,
thing in there
obviously
that comes
she-
out.
Well, that would have been the smart thing. I don't think that's what she.
By the
was
way, this
doing.
is the most
Let me
ludicrous
say
story
this.
we've ever talked about.
I think
in
it's
this podcast.
insane, this story, but I will
I don't
say
know about
this.
that.
Obviously, she
Get
has
to
the
that next
integrity enough to actually produce the gas to the jar. So I guess I appreciate her for that.
The honesty,
that
yeah.
thing, the honesty. You know,
I
it's a
just-
crazy thing.
I
You know
just
what,
feel for the
Lester?
Poor guys that
Lester,
can
I
only
think
get
you
hard to farts. I mean, imagine that. Imagine that's your
Disgusting.
life.
Yeah, that's
That's
a whole
how
nother
you
side
get
of
an
that.
erection. Is you have to smell a stranger's fart.
It's disgusting. Lester, I think we've closed the hoop on this one.
Oh,
Good night, everybody. See you later. Thanks for watching.
terrible. That is terrible.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Terrible.
we
that
sealed the
was
jar
pretty
on that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. Last in our things we saw on Twitter, I saw a tweet from Jimmy last night. Regarding
my
a
God.
text exchange he had with his lovely wife, Brooksy.
Brooksy.
Jimmy, I don't know if you want to tell us about this.
It's hard to. You kind of got to go to my Twitter feed to check it out. But she just did a pocket. She pocket texted me just a bunch of weird letters, and then what was the word at the end there? Stoff. It was
Mukmukiiii.
Mukmukiiii. So there were a couple of real words in there, Mukmukiiii. But I saw it, and I obviously knew what had happened. But I, as a smart husband, I just replied, "You're right, Brooksy, as always." But the funny thing is, she then responded right away, saying, "Right about what?" So Brooksy has a habit of not looking above the text. So I think she had no idea that. Yeah.
The term Mukmukiiii is a Japanese word for muscular. So maybe
That's
complimenting your latest gym efforts.
Well,
Little
Brooksy and I are not together right now. I don't mean we aren't together. I don't want to scare anybody listening.
Jeez.
Brooksy and I are together, but she is in a different place than me right now. So that concerns me if she was talking about someone. No, it's just geographically.
You're going through some
Geographically.
times.
Brooksy and the girls are in Turks.
Oh,
All right.
Oh.
If she's pocket tweeting about somebody's Mukmukiiii, it's not mine.
Party.
Oh.
at
That's concerning. That's
well, you know what?
concerning.
The girls, when they're away, they get wild.
Or that's what Jimmy wanted to hear.
Girls Gone Wild, Turks and Caicos edition.
By the way, we'll save it for we'll do an A-hole or A-OK next week. I had one about what Brooksy told me was going on in the room next to her. A little bit of Mukmukiiii. So
Really?
next week, by the way, on the podcast, a special edition of the Rubber Boots Pod. Lester might not be there. He's got a very busy week ahead next week. Look at we have some complications next week, so I'm just going to come full disclosure. We're going to tape the pod for next week, so you don't miss a week of the Rubber Boots podcast. Then we may have a week off afterward. Jimmy's got some complications, and then we'll be back. We'll be back full bore in February for our Olympics editions of the Rubber Boots Pod.
Daily Olympic pods.
Daily
Big time
Olympic-
announcement.
Break down all the action.
I don't want to CBC did announce their Olympic lineup today. Jimmy will be hosting hockey. I can tell you guys that right now. Yes.
Men's and
Jimmy,
women's?
men's hockey on the Olympics. The beloved Kate Burness will be hosting, I believe, women's hockey.
Nice.
So partnered up with the CBC and looking forord to doing a little.
When are you heading over there? Are you going to be heading over?
I'm not going to be
right
there. I will not be in Beijing.
No Beijing.
So how are you going to handle the time change, my friend?
You know what? I'm terrified about World Juniors next year, which are, by the way, in not just in Russia, in Siberia. So
wow,
we're either going to be there in Siberia, but my thought with Bobby Mack, Bobby Mack really makes the decisions on the panel. We probably won't be in Siberia. We'll be in Scarborough.
Didn't they have one of those in the early 2010s? There's one out in Russia. Where was
Ufa,
that?
Russia.
Ufa.
Yeah. And We talked about this on the podcast because that was the whole NyQuil incident. Remember when I overdosed on NyQuil and I had to do the radio appearance and all that?
Who could forget?
Because we were getting up, Puffy and I were getting up at like 2:30 in the morning. It was ludicrous. It ruined me for about 2 months, so I'm already not looking forward to that. Anyway, looking forward to the Olympics on CBC and TSN from Beijing, where we'll be covering some hockey. Rubber Boots reacts.
Rubber Boots reacts.
Rubber Boots reacts.
We are reacting to Puffy's favorite fighter.
Wait a second! I didn't even finish my thought. I started to talk about. I got sidetracked to the Olympics. What I was saying was we're going to tape
Lester
another podcast.
He looped it.
Lester looped it. It's over.
Looped and hooped.
So first, we'll talk about this. One of the guys who helped Jussie Smollett fake his attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is now using his newfound fame of helping Jussie Smollett fake an attack.
Did he go to jail, that guy, or did he plead?
No, I'm not. I don't know if he went yet. I would imagine his involvement in it at some point will.
Right. Unless those two guys got immunity
deals for
testifying against Jussie Smollett,
which they probably did, because I believe they did testify against them.
Right.
So now, anyway, he's using his newfound fame to now challenge Jake Paul to a fight because, as he calls it, all he's fought was washed up UFC fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure where that puts this particular guy who's a washed up conspiracy.
Yeah, you guys know how I feel about Jake Paul, but I think he's going to do better than that guy as far as the credibility of his next opponent.
I think so too, but I know how you feel about Jake Paul, but the way Sports Illustrated, a reputable publication in the sports world, feels about him is that he is the breakout boxer of the year for 2021.
100%.
Thoughts?
Who else could there be, to be honest with you? I hate to say it.
He is boxing right now.
But he has not fought an actual boxer yet.
Yeah, listen, but he's still doing the sport.
But it's celebrity boxing.
Listen, I don't... Listen,
are we saying boxing's dead then? Is boxing completely dead when a guy off the street can walk in, be not better than anyone within the actual sport, and be celebrated as the best newcomer?
Let me ask you a question, Stoff. Aside from all these Jake Pauls, thank you. Aside from all these Jake Paul fights, in the last 5 years, what is the biggest boxing match that's taken place?
I mean, Wilder and the 3 Wilder fights that happened. Those were big.
I'm going to say Canelo's fought.
I'm going to say it's Money Mayweather versus Conor McGregor.
That was the okay. No, but within the sport, if you actually follow it, there are fights. I mean,
there are. And I know Canelo's doing really well. There's a couple other people. I'm not big on boxing, but my point is, to Puff's point, the sport. After Mike Tyson, you could argue, unfortunately, he really has suffered with not enough big name guys. Lennox Lewis as well, even Lennox. I mean, God bless Lennox Lewis, Canadian champion, worldwide figure, but he never had the cachet as a certainly never Ali or a Tyson. You could argue the middleweight division with Manny Pacquiao, even probably, that division has probably held up the fighting game as well. But I would say that the sport as a whole has taken a backseat to UFC. It has. I believe
for sure. Yeah. It's definitely taken a backseat. My thing is this, there's a difference between, recognition and popularity. And for a publication like Sports Illustrated, that's supposed to be about the actual sport itself, to name this guy fighter of the, newcomer of the year, it's ridiculous. He hasn't had a real boxing match yet.
I think
I understand. I think he's bringing the sport of boxing. He's probably one of the most popular figures, within it. But that's in pop culture. That's not within the actual sport itself. Like, how would we feel if, Justin Bieber playing hockey in some pickup game, which obviously has happened, that goes viral, and all of a sudden people start referring to Justin Bieber as the breakout hockey player of the year?
It would be similar.
I think what it is Sports Illustrated just trying to create a news cycle by doing something controversial, which is kind of bothers me with everything with media right now. Is everything is about creating news cycles, your own news cycle by saying something, and it did work.
Podcast.
I'm with Les. Like, for our younger audience listening, I don't think you have any idea how popular boxing was back in the day.
Very true.
When I would watch Saturday fights on CBS all the time. Boxing was present every single weekend. You know, I, as a 15-year-old, my favorite athlete was Aaron Pryor, a boxer who died after head injuries. So is it Lou Reed? Hurry home early. Hurry on home. Boom Boom Mancini's fighting Bobby Chacon. You know that song?
I don't know the song, but
all right.
Is that a Hall-and-Ass classic?
Boom Boom Boom. I think it's Lou Reed. But Boom Boom Mancini was big, like Alexis Arguello. Besides the Haglers and the Sugar Ray Leonards and everybody, boxing was massive and it's disappeared. Is there any chance? We talked about this at the beginning of the whole Jake Paul thing. Is there any still small part of you that thinks all these guys are taking dives?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think they. If it came out they were, I wouldn't be like. Oh,
the last one looked
stunned,
a little divish to me. The way he was just purely knocked out, it looked.
See, I think that's inexperienced opponents that are leaving themselves open. Like that last knockout you're talking about, that guy was like that most of the match. Like Jake Paul could have cleaned this clock a lot sooner, I felt like.
Yeah.
But Jake Paul is basically saying that like he's killing these guys because they're not boxers. And that these guys are extremely good fighters. They all were top of their game when they were doing MMA, but it's different than boxing. And he's a boxer and an inexperienced boxer, probably compared to some professionals, but he still doesn't mean he's not a good fighter.
So who's he going to fight now? Mayweather?
There's still no measuring stick, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think most people thought he was going to get his ass kicked by all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's beat them all, I think, has been surprising. And what's given him more credibility is it's like, oh, actually, these guys are real fighters, but they're not boxers, and that's probably why he's having success.
Yeah, he's got to fight. He's got to fight an actual boxer.
No.
Yeah. And I think that'll come.
And
you
if
love
that
him,
happens, and
you love him.
If that
I think he's great.
Is it over for him though?
No, I don't think so.
Is his entire career on the line once he gets a legit opponent?
Yes.
Yeah, I
don't think so. Because I think people, he's done a good job of making himself where people either like him or they want to see him get destroyed. And I think if either result happens, people will pay to watch it.
Yeah, but to Jimmy's point, if he gets destroyed, that's it. I think it's over.
No,
people will pay the mystique.
But I don't think I don't think people think this guy's the greatest fighter in the world. I mean, if he fought any top boxer, he would get it handed to him. Mm-hmm. But I think with his level of experience, he's doing a lot better than I think people thought.
And who knows? Stuff that Sports Illustrated did is actually helps him a tremendous lot because people just keep talking about how he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
of course. See him knocked out in the next fight. So it definitely, that type of news cycle definitely helps him as well.
Let's get to boxing. Oh, sorry.
Let the Looper do his thing.
No. I was just going to say. I mean, boxing doesn't have the best reputation as far as being, corrupt. So I mean, listen, it could happen that absolutely these guys are taking dives. So it's hard to say. But anyway, continue, James, please.
No, the Looper has done his job. I was going to get us to listener mail before the Looper has to loop his way out of here.
Rubber Boots Podcast. Listener mail. Listener mail. Podcast. Thank you for listening.
All right, listener mail. This is where we hear from Prophylactic Nation. Prophylactic Nation, and our good friend Ricky Schmidt sent this picture in this week. We're talking about a picture of Rick Dhaliwal. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. From Vancouver, also a writer for The Athletic. And he has a picture where he has his rubber boots up on the table, and it looks like a sports studio.
Could you put him up on the table? Could you put him up on the desk for me?
Yes, the very origin story of this
green
podcast
ones
here.
Did
he like the green ones, Jimmy?
You want them? Can you wear the black ones with the green bottoms? That's what he's got on today. No, usually he wanted red boots. My boy wanted red boots up on the table. Well, that's good to know. By the way, he's in Vancouver, where it's more common to wear rubber boots. You know, you can buy rubber boots with golf spikes in Vancouver.
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you play
like the tall ones.
Yeah, they're rubber boots, but they have pure golf things at the bottom, so you can golf.
That's cool.
Yeah,
spikes. Wow.
You guys own rubber boots, any of you?
No.
There's some women's pairs here, but at the house.
I own a pair because when we bought our house, it was a new build, so we didn't have grass surrounding it at all. So on days when it rained and you had to take the dog out, it got pretty muddy. So,
see, I have the fetish is transplanted to me. So on Saturday night, I'll be, hey, Mookie, you want to put on your rubber boots? And then she says, Malakala Walla Walla. What's it again? What is it? Stop.
Mukmukiiii, I believe.
Mukmukiiii.
A little Mukmukiiii.
All right, Stoff. Next thing up on listener mail. Hold on a second. Is this is from Ravi clarifying? Steve, look at me. I know exactly what's happening. Yeah. Okay, I'm really confused by Ravi. We have to have Ravi on as a guest. So Ravi was the one who said to us, do you remember where you were about the Bills making the playoffs?
And he had the Bills video of them making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. And then he tweets back this week, I haven't gone through a table, LOL. And since you didn't get my joke, it coincided with this dedicated to the cause, World Junior Championship.
Okay, I actually remember now.
So those happened on the same day?
They happened in the same day. We were in Buffalo when it happened.
Oh, Ravi, I finally get it. So Ravi
you guys faked
Ravi was just smarter than us.
Okay.
Yes. So Ravi didn't really care about us being at the Bills game. He was reminding us that was the same day of the World Junior gold medal game in Buffalo. Oh, and Ravi, I guess, was there. So
he must have been.
Yeah.
Tickets.
Maybe we hung out.
Yeah, I think we actually went to a bar.
I slept with Ravi that night.
No.
That's what the joke was.
That's the next picture he sent in.
Wow. It's going to be next week's photo.
It's just of you sleeping next to him.
Jimmy's passed out. Ravi's taking a selfie of the two of us. Big champagne bottle next to me.
Who did that happen to? Was it Wes Walker after a Super Bowl?
Oh my God. And Yager. There's a good one of Yager.
Oh, the Yager one was great because she tried blackmailing him.
Yeah, she tried next door to him.
I'll tweet this out. He's like, oh, terrific. Go ahead.
I don't care. Go ahead. There he is right there.
I'm 44. I pulled a 20-year-old. It's amazing.
Anyway, Ravi, sorry we didn't get your joke, Ravi. You're smarter than us. Now we've all finally caught up. And Ravi, one other thing.
At the bar.
That was a great night.
It was.
You want to do this one? Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one. This one's from Irika71. Tweets in a lot, great listener of ours, and this one basically points out what a piece of Danny DeVito is.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
Danny DeVito responded to a OMG Facts tweet, which tweeted, the barnacle has the largest penis in the animal kingdom when compared to its size, which is obviously something we already learned, to which Danny DeVito replied, stop calling me the barnacle. Like that joke's been done, Danny.
Barnacle Jim,
Barnacle
here.
Jim does not.
So does that mean Danny DeVito is a long time listener of the pod? Do you think?
Yes, potentially does.
All right, love to get him on as a guest next week.
Yeah, Danny, we'll forgive you if you come on as a guest, or
he's our new Stone Street.
Yeah, not next week though, because we're.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unless, do you think we could get him on that episode where we do?
We got no looper next week.
Stuff we never.
How are we going to close next week? Show's never going to end because the looper is
going to go on
here to close the loop
all week.
The loops are just going to go. I'm going to be out of control.
It's true. It usually happens though. Ji in our chat had some advice for Puffy regarding your children's phone usage. Buy a Disney Circle to help control usage, especially if you have hopes and dreams for your kids. So, question: do you have hopes and dreams for your kids, and what is Disney Circle?
Right now, we're doing YouTube. We're gonna come up. We have a YouTube channel right now for the Fortnite.
Nice.
Gone all in on
really.
That. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious to listen to them. They're like, give us some likes and subscribe.
That's the entire video.
Yeah. And then Austin was like, but I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. It would just be nice. Good job.
Tugging at the heartstrings.
That's nice. That's great. That's great.
Disney Circle is a parents can filter content, set screen time limits on connected devices, and more. You have to have a subscription to that. So there you go.
Oh, of course, Disney. Yeah, you're going to charge me to make me parent more, you bastards.
Disney, the company that had like quiet porn stuck in all their animated movies over the years.
What?
Yes, didn't you know that was a scandal from like 20 years ago? Like if you watch Bambi, there's certain freeze frames where you can see a big giant penis or whatever.
That's not true.
Oh my gosh,
a barnacle.
Yeah, it's apparently there's like certain ones where like a bunch of flowers go up and then certain ones stay up and they spell something else.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
they were all high.
I'm a Looney Tunes guy. I never heard of this with Disney. Yeah, no, never heard of it.
All right, so next week, very special Looper-free edition of the Rubber Boots Pod. I wanted to call the Hooper after I made my joke, but none of you guys really appreciate it.
Hold.
The Looper and the Hooper would be two different nicknames. So
my mom's calling me. My mom's calling me. What, Mom? What'd you say?
He's gonna go.
Hello?
Ma!
Meatloaf! We want the meatloaf!
Hey, Looper. Why don't you close out this podcast? And we'll see you next week. He's gone.
Mom cut him off.
All right. There he goes. He had to take his dad to an appointment today. That's why. So and the appointment's going to last all week long. Lester will not be here.
A lot of listening into this.
Oh, wait a second. The Looper, he wanted to come back.
Looper's back.
He's back. 1 second.
Tell me started the next episode already. Tell me we already started it.
Gotcha. Where is he? What is the point of this?
The Looper is connecting to audio. Oh, there he is.
Anyway, welcome to episode 3. Oh no! Wait a second. He wasn't supposed to be here this week.
But I do have to go.
You see, that's the Looper. He couldn't let it end without him coming back to close. Have a good one. See you, Looper.
See you guys
next week, guys.
Serious Lester, aka the Looper, and we'll see you next week on the Rubber Boots Podcast. All right.
Oh, have you watched all the videos?
Oh shit! Yes. You sent a missive, eh?
Hold on a second. Are you serious, Jimmy?
No, I got it.
He's angry.
I'm glad we did that.
All right, Hugo, don't look at me that way. It's you that smells like urine.
Hey, how are you? I got a question that I really want to ask you. Wait, don't hang up. I need to know, so I'm gonna try and push my luck. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like the dunk tank at the fair? I know it's a little strange, my obsession with your choice of footwear in the rain. I know that you're on TV, but I need you to put your boots up on the desk for me. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like the dunk tank at the fair? This is the part they call the bridge. A bridge has water under it. With rubber boots you can wade in the water. Just don't fall in. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like a dunk tank at the fair? Do you like the dunk tank at the fair? The dunk tank at the fair. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? No, seriously. Are you wearing your rubber boots? Don't hang up, please. Somebody. Hey? Anyone?